What's up? Good morning, PT on Ice Daily Show. Dr. Jeff Moore here, currently serving as the CEO of ICE, lead faculty for lumbar and cervical spine management courses. Great to be here with you on a Thursday. As always, Thursday is our favorite day of the week because Thursday is Gut Check Thursday. If you haven't seen the workout yet, it's as simple as can be. 10 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, 30 air squats, 5 rounds for time. Like Alan said this week, the pace is go. So don't think about it. Just hit the deck. As many reps as possible or as many rounds as fast as possible. 5 times through. I saw Alan's projection there, thinking maybe 7 minutes on the low end, maybe 10 minutes on the high end. But try and go dark and give it your best absolute effort for a handful of minutes. Remember to tag Ice Physio on Instagram, hashtag IceTrain. So Gut Check Thursday is going down. I'm sure that Zach and Alexis Morgan and I will be doing that in Nanaimo, British Columbia, Saturday after the course. We will be up in Canada this weekend and then over in Seattle next weekend. Some other stuff we have coming up. We've got total spine thrust manipulation with Justin Dunaway. Will be in Portland, Michigan this weekend, which is right in between like Lansing and Green Bay. And then Performing Artist Comprehensive Management with Jessica Davis is in Pittsburgh, September 21st and 2nd. Jessica's an awfully busy gal, full-time teaching clinic. She doesn't get to teach that course many times a year. So if you're into performing artists and you want to get after that content, get up to Pittsburgh. It's actually at her clinic. It's at Perform Physio up in Mars, Pennsylvania, just north of the city. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure you hop on ptonice.com. All right, team. So what I want to chat briefly about this morning is exercise and the patient's why. Because I know it's Leadership Thursday, but this kind of fits into leading them in the right direction. And I think it's something we've got to challenge ourselves to face a bit, right? So when we at ICE try and encourage clinicians to incorporate more multi-joint weight-bearing functional movements that are done at a level of intensity and vigor that leads to strength changes and performance changes and confidence changes. When we talk about wanting to challenge a patient to that level, it's fair to say we often get some kickback. And the kickback is interesting because it's usually, if you talk to the clinicians, it's usually along the lines of, well, Jeff, I don't think that's what my patients are expecting. Or I think those exercises seem a bit weird for my patient. Or really, it's the first one. It's just not what they perceive their patients to be expecting. Which then kind of, I think, allows them to stay in this comfortable rep scheme of, kind of low load exercises, like we always say, 3 or 4 sets of whatever, done at, a relatively low intensity that maybe doesn't get quite as much out of those sessions as we believe could be gained. And what I want to bring up is that I don't think it's true. So I don't think that's the case. I think that really it's us as physios who are the ones bringing the preconceived notions or the expectations about what is comfortable and normal regarding exercise to the interaction far more so than it is the patient. I really believe the patient is thinking you're choosing the exercises that are going to best meet their goals and don't have a lot of feelings about it. And the reason I feel this way is I've asked a lot of them. So many of you know that I mentor a lot, so I travel around the country. I've been to numerous states this year, seeing patients in clinic with different clinicians. Many, I'm sure, are watching the show today. And one of the things I'll often do, because this area has interested me now for quite some time, is I'll ask the patients. So if you can imagine my world, right? So I'm in these clinics and I'm with a physio who's treating patients, but that physio often has to, run and get some exercise handouts, go and say hi to the next patient. I am often left kind of hanging out with that patient, right? While the other individual is kind of doing their work and keeping ends together. So I'm always making conversation. And one of the conversations I will often make is, especially at the end of the session while things are wrapping up, was like, hey, how did everything go for you today? And I'll often go further and say, exercise-wise, what you're walking out with, was that kind of what you figured you were going to get walking in? Right? And kind of try and tap into their expectations around, did what we did here at Physio correlate with what you thought was going to happen? Because I'm very interested in that general, if you will, psychological domain of practice. And what I almost invariably find is that the patient shrugs, right? They usually say, yeah, I don't know. I guess I didn't think much about it. The point is, they usually state they had no preconceived notions whatsoever. I find this exact same thing to be true with spinal manipulation, right? So we've been teaching that now for so many years, and physical therapists will often say that their patient doesn't want it or their patient has strong feelings about it, when in reality, I think it's the other way around. I think the physio has strong feelings about it or concerns about it or what have you. Because when you ask the patient and you say, hey, Judy, what I'd love to do here is, can I get my hands in your neck here? I'm going to do some slower stretches and a bit of massage. And then I want to do a couple of quicker stretches. When I do that, you might hear a click or a pop in your neck, and then we'll pop you up and see if things are moving better. When you say that, almost invariably the patient's like, yeah, man, whatever. Almost like, hey, that it's kind of unnecessary you're giving me this much detail, but yeah, man, whatever's going to help my neck feel better, I'm really looking forward to that. The point is, they aren't carrying as strong of preconceived notions as I think they are in manipulation or as I think they are in exercise. They are looking for you to make really good decisions on what's going to help them. And I think if you can embrace that, it'll help you open up a little bit and decrease some of that barrier to get into using some of these rep and set schemes that maybe are a bit more progressive and are going to give a bit more benefit. And some of the multi-joint weight-bearing exercises that we think carry that same effect. So if there were, what I want to challenge you on next week in clinic, is if there were no habits, if there wasn't something that you do a lot of, if you didn't project biases onto the patient, if there wasn't anything that was more convenient than another, maybe because of where the equipment is or where the equipment isn't, what would we choose for exercise and why? I think that's what we've got to get to the heart of. If none of this stuff was on the table, how would we figure out what to do? What would guide that? I think what we would do is we would ask the patient what their goal was for the exercises that we're prescribing, right? What is their why? What are they trying to get out of the rehab tools that we are delivering for them? And I would argue they're going to usually say four things. Number one, they're going to say, I wish the exercise would get me out of pain. Now, I spend most of my time in low back pain, and what we've seen the past couple of years in research is that we don't see a massive difference between things like deadlifting programs and motor control exercises. That was that ASA article that came out. We haven't seen a big difference in pain when it comes to general exercise compared to specific spinal stabilization. So I don't think that choosing multi-joint weight-bearing, relatively intense functional exercise is going to lose you anything in the world of decreasing the patient's pain. Right? If I'm missing literature on that, and there is a lot of literature showing that lower load stuff or motor control stuff outperforms higher intensity progressive multi-joint weight bearing exercise, fire it my way because I do want to read it. Number two, I think they would say, I want the exercise to prevent me from being in pain again, from recurrence. Right? And we often in our classes talk about that Malone article, right? With kind of the acute to chronic workload ratio. I believe Tim Gabbett was on that one as well. Looking at improved strength and speed and repeated sprint, possibly creating some extra margin or flexibility in being able to tolerate acute to chronic workload ratio swings. I love when Dustin Jones and Christina Previtt talk about one rep max living. Like it only makes sense that if your max deadlift is 15 pounds, but your laundry basket, I think this is what he said a few months ago, the laundry basket is 14 pounds, right? And you're exerting 90 to 95% of your maximal effort every time you do these ADLs. Number one, you've got to think the injury risk is going to be higher. And number two, you're going to be exhausted. If you've ever went to the gym, I went to the gym yesterday and we had a squat rep scheme at 80% of our one rep max front squat. And the better part of my morning was shot. Because when you're exercising at a really high percentage of your one rep max, you're going to have some natural fatigue. Well, if that's all day, every day for you, that isn't very functional. That isn't going to lead to a thriving high capacity lifestyle. You're going to feel zapped all the time because there's simply no margin between where you're operating and your maximal effort. So I think that building that strength, I think is better for recurrence when you look at acute to chronic workload, and I think it's better for energy and fatigue when you look at one rep max living. I think another thing patients would say is, I want more performance in my life. I want to be able to do more. You know, I want to be able to crush stuff. Like, I hate that when I carry the groceries in from the car that I have to stop twice. You know, we have a long driveway and yeah, it's embarrassing. You know that I can't make it all the way in. Well, to me, when you look at what exercises are going to benefit that, it's weighted carries all day, done at a pretty significant load. Right? I don't think that TheraBand is going to correlate well to that person getting those heavy groceries in, feeling confident and comfortable doing it at reps. So I think that when it comes to performance, there's an argument there. You want to throw your kiddo, you want to grab your kiddo off the ground and chuck him up in the air a few times? That's a thruster, right? I think we have to look at what exercises functionally correlate to the kind of performance that most of our patients are looking to carry out. And I think the last thing they would say is, I'd like it to be simple. You know, I hate when things are complex or when there's a million cues, because when I'm at home, I'm not sure if I'm doing them right, and that really makes me concerned. So I think we have to stick to motions that are gross movement patterns that are well replicated with simple external cueing that allows a high level of performance and carryover. And I think when you look at all these different things that the patient wants to get out of their program, and if you get rid of any preconceived biases that you're projecting onto the patient, I think that what you wind up with is saying, oh, well, clearly the decision-making process leads towards doing multi-joint, functional, weight-bearing motions at a rep and set scheme at a level of intensity that results in performance gains, in strength changes, and in confidence building. I really think if we got rid of everything mentally that was blocking us, the actual data on why the patient is being prescribed what they're being prescribed definitely asymmetrically lends in one direction. And so I want to challenge you to think, what's getting in your way of shifting those gears? Is it convenience? Is it habit? Is it bias? Is it projection? Because I think the actual data leads towards a home exercise prescription that might be a bit more robust than what we tend to do in physio. And I think if we make that change, our patients are going to be a lot better off. So let's not let what we believe to be normal affect our patients' care and decisions. Let's really interrogate them on what they're trying to get out of this, and let's match our prescription to their goals. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Hit me up with follow-up questions. Anyways, all those courses I talked about are on ptonice.com. Everybody have a wonderful Thursday. We're heading up to Canada. My whole family's going. Zach and Alexis Morgan are going to be up there. We're all going to be up there getting after it, and then we'll ferry over and knock out Seattle over in Kirkland with a whole team and host of TAs at a sold-out course over there. So going to be a fun couple of weeks, team. Get after it. Have a great day in clinic.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.